Hi, I'm Jim Schaefer, the Associate Pastor at the Sheffield Church, and I want to welcome you to Lesson 4 of our series on the 12 Disciples and the book Losers Like Us. Now, this week you're going to be reading about two of the most controversial choices that Jesus made. The first was a tax collector named Matthew, also called Levi. Now, Matthew was hated by the Jews. Well, who doesn't hate the tax man? But you see, the reason that Matthew was hated was that he was a Jew, but he was considered a traitor because he was working for the Romans. Now, the Jews were under bondage to the Roman Empire, and so, of course, they hated anything about Rome, especially when it came to taxes. But Judas was hated even more because he would always pad the bill. That's the way he made his money. And so he was despised on many levels. Judas was not only hated by the Jews, but he was hated by the Romans because he was a Jew. The truth was, Matthew was hated by everyone except Jesus. What a marvelous picture that is. Today, you may feel rejected, you may feel alone, you may feel that nobody cares, but I want you to know that Jesus cares about you. That's the picture that Jesus gives us in the New Testament. The other person that you'll be reading about in, again, our books, Losers Like Us, is Judas Iscariot. Now, Judas Iscariot, if you remember, was the one who betrayed Jesus. We may ask ourselves, why would Jesus have chosen Judas? Why did Judas kind of go off the deep end? Why did he betray Jesus Christ? Does Judas make heaven? Well, the author will look at all of those things, and I think you'll find his theory rather interesting. You may not agree with it totally, but certainly it's worth considering. Well, in our video today, I want to continue our talk about discipleship, or being a disciple of Jesus Christ. In our first week, we looked at the verse that Jesus said, "Come, follow after me, and I will make you fishers of men." This idea of following Jesus is really essential to our understanding of the message of Jesus Christ. I think we shortchange people sometimes when we take the idea of becoming a Christian and we wrap it up in simply a sinner's prayer. It's so much more than that. Being a disciple is a lifelong commitment to the person, the teachings, and the spirit of Jesus Christ. That's what we talked about in week 2. In week 3, we looked at this push that the Bible has concerning spiritual growth. We're constantly told to be growing in the grace and the knowledge of the Lord Jesus Christ. To follow Jesus means we are continually learning and continually becoming more like him. Today I want to look at the word imitate. To follow or to imitate? Well, let's take a look at a verse in 1 Corinthians chapter 11, verse 1. The King James Version says, "Be ye followers of me, even as I also am of Christ." Or, "Follow me as I follow Christ." Now, remember, the Apostle Paul was writing to the church at Corinth. And the Apostle Paul never followed Jesus in the same way as the 12 disciples followed him. When Jesus said to the disciples, "Come follow me," he literally meant for them to leave what they were doing and come and follow him around. But the Apostle Paul uses the same word, "Follow me as I follow Christ," but the word is different than the word Jesus used. The word that Paul uses there in the Greek is a word that is pronounced mimetes. Mimetes is the word that we get the word mimic from, or imitate from. Most new translations translate this verse in 1 Corinthians as "imitate me as I imitate Christ." Now, I got to be honest with you, when I was a kid, I loved to listen to those who were able to impersonate or imitate others. When I was a kid, it was Rich Little. Today, Frank Caliendo is my favorite. I really am envious of those that are able to mimic someone else. When I was a kid, I tried to mimic cartoon characters like Popeye or perhaps Curly from the Three Stooges. Yeah, I know there's a little resemblance. But I thought about taking a few moments and giving you my best Curly imitation, but I really don't want to embarrass myself, so you'll just have to go without. But I'm still constantly amazed at those who are not only able to talk like a famous celebrity, but to act like the famous celebrity as well. I remember watching The Tonight Show and seeing Rich Little imitate Johnny Carson. When he spoke, you could hear Johnny Carson, you could see Johnny Carson, because not only did he have the voice down, but he had all the mannerisms that Johnny Carson had as well. Well, I wonder how well you and I imitate Jesus Christ. When we speak, do people hear Jesus? When we act, when we walk, do people see the actions of Jesus Christ? The Apostle Paul said, imitate me as I imitate Christ. Really is a tall order, isn't it? To be like Jesus. Someone once said, the only Bible some people will ever read is your life. To some people, the only Jesus they will ever see is the Jesus they see in you. Well, I hope you have a great week. Hope you'll join us next week as we continue our study on losers like us. By the way, let me make one final statement here. It is not our intent to discredit the 12 disciples by calling them losers, or to call into question why Jesus chose them. The truth is, Christ chose them precisely because they were losers. Losers like us. God bless you.